Hey you, look at this. Bleak Faith Forsaken is an upcoming indie Souls-like by Archangel Studios, a team of two which eventually turned into three, based out of Pennsylvania, which has been in the works for several years. It started as a Kickstarter, raising over $30,000. On February 17th, 2023, Archangel Studios put out a release date trailer, announcing that the game would come out on PC for Steam and GOG March 10th, 2023. The devs have said via Twitter that they hope to bring the game to consoles, but to not expect it in the first 6 months following release. Which makes sense if the goal depends on the finances from the sale of the game on PC. The devs at Archangel Studios have been fairly open, sharing pictures, videos, and playtest demos. They even posted a video from Fexerlife back in 2021 who played an early demo build. Despite Fexerlife saying that they enjoyed some aspects of the game, they also said it had some pretty serious issues as well, but yet the devs still posted that video. That kind of transparency is not always indicative of a good game, but it certainly imbues some confidence. As I mentioned before, this is a game developed by only 3 people, but in reading the Kickstarter, it was only 2 for quite a long time. So I'm not sure if that means they picked up help along the way, or if the third person they are referring to is their music guy. Either way, it is now pushed as a 3-man project, which is super impressive. I don't know how a 3-man team makes something that looks like this. It is important to note, on Kickstarter, there seems to be unrest from their backers, due to the fact that when the team posted the announcement trailer, they did not post news on the Kickstarter page. In fact, scrolling through the comment section on their Kickstarter, that has been a rub for a while. Seeing that the last update posted there was January of 2022, that's kind of a problem. They are, however, somewhat active on their Twitter account, so it's not as if they went dark, but it will be interesting to see how that plays out. Hopefully, it is simply because they are overloaded with all the work in advertising that they forgot or maybe didn't manage their time well enough to be able to post on Kickstarter. That said, it will be important that they answer and post to their Kickstarter page and live up to their word to those who back their project. With how difficult it must be to develop a game like this with only 3 guys, I can imagine having PR skills and putting time into that might not be a strength of theirs. Either way, they're going to need to make sure they take care of that. All that said, let's talk about the game. To start, the About section on their Steam page says this, quote, "Explore the last remnants of civilization in this vast, unforgiving, and interconnected world. Learn what is left of its history, discover pockets of natural life in the perpetually expanding omnistructure. Lose yourself in a journey unlike any other. Find your purpose in the world." So, just from that, we see that they call their world the omnistructure. And on their Kickstarter campaign page, they note that the game is, quote, "a cross between cyberpunk and dark fantasy." You can certainly see that influence in the gameplay shown on their trailers and the demos. It gives off an almost Nier-esque vibe to the setting, which seems to invoke a sort of post-apocalyptic turned medieval fantasy setting. And I do like that. The devs say to expect an estimated 30 hours of content as a baseline, but that was also posted on Kickstarter, and who knows how long ago that was, so who knows how much it might have expanded or compressed since then. But whatever the number, it should include a lot of room for the player if you dive into lore and inspect all the different places in the world. Bleak Faith Forsaken is an open world, but will also contain linear sections that harness that world to a smaller piece, especially in story moments. The devs mentioned that there is an element of a Metroidvania feel to some parts of the game, and I find that really fascinating. Putting both an open world as well as Metroidvania elements together sounds like a really cool premise, and if they can pull that off successfully, they might have a solid world system on their hands. Even more so when you consider what the devs said about the world. Quote, "Inhabitants of the Omnistructure will compete among themselves, grow and expand, change and adapt. The food chain in the ecosystem will, as a result, mold to every playthrough. Example, an apex predator from your last playthrough might have already died out in this playthrough, and you never fight it again." Now that is kinda nuts, but the question is, can their algorithm actually handle that? Will the AI actually work that way? That's the question. If they can manage this well, it will offer a new flow of replayability. And this sounds almost like a mod that someone would do for Skyrim or Elden Ring or something. So if they do it well, it could be really cool and innovative. Some notable elements that are a part of the world, or at least the exploration of that world, is that they include traversal options that are becoming standard in open world style games, namely climbing and swimming. In one demo capture, you will see an underwater section including an oxygen meter, and the character searching for spots where they could come up for air before diving in. I think it's a cool addition to the Souls formula. Not gonna lie though, them underwater sections freak me out. Now, on to the best part of any Souls-like, the killer. In Bleak Faith, you play as a Forsaken, hence the name, which the developers say is a legion of hunters condemned to protect the last vestige of humanity. That said, your exact purpose is hidden to you, and what seems to be a large part of the story is you discovering that particular mystery. As you develop your character, there is what the devs call a deep class system, and they mention the option to choose between range or melee combat, a stealth system. There is a pseudo-magic system as well, something they are choosing to label technomancy, or technomancy, I don't know, however you want to say it, which fits in that cyberpunk dark fantasy label. You increase your stat points, you upgrade gear, you learn different weapons, gain new abilities, choose all of these that fit your playstyle. In the trailers, they snap through some shots of different characters with different armor and weapons. So it looks like the Fashion Soul side is on the table here. Exactly how many classes and options you have is not yet known. For the demo that Extra Life played back in 2021, there were only 3. But with the game build that was based on planned for the end of 2021, and now coming out in March 2023, which is like a 2-year difference, there is a lot of time for the devs to polish up the game, and I would guess that there are a few more options in that department. Another point of the game that I am interested to see in the finished project is the idea of survival elements. Now, no one really knows what these might be. The demo builds back in 2021 had those elements removed. The only blip about survival stuff in the Kickstarter is that you can create gear, so some crafting, and to stay healthy and some kind of a play. So it will be interesting to see if they kept that survival aspect in the finished product, or if they decided to remove that in favor of sticking the landing for the rest of the game. No one has mentioned it as far as I'm aware or can find anywhere, so it'll be interesting to see if that is still included or not. Alright, I don't know about you, but watching these trailers has me pretty excited. I want to check this game out. They show some cool components of games that I really like, such as the climbing on larger monsters that you would know from Shadow of the Colossus or even Dragon's Dogma. And that specific mechanic is actually kind of hit and miss. So if they can stick that, if they can make that work, they can nail it so it feels good, I think it could be really cool. It is an element that I enjoy when done well, but we'll have to see how they do that. Also, the boss designs in particular look inspired and new, a sort of tech horror vibe going on. I'm not usually into horror games myself, I just don't enjoy that kind of design. But at least from the trailers, this one feels fresh and different, and I hope that stays through the whole game, because right now it looks really cool to me. Now, all of that said, the main thing in any Souls-like is the combat. They have to nail the feeling of the combat. If they don't, if they perfect the exploration, if they have awesome systems and the world is cool and the AI works, but the combat doesn't feel right, the game is dead. So here's hoping the feel is right for the combat of Bleak Faith. It needs to have impact and it needs to be tight. It seems like that wasn't quite there back in 2021, but again, that's a year and a half, 2 years ago. And so they've had a lot of time to fix that. Let's hope they did. Now, if you enjoy the look of this game, if you are interested and you want to help the devs, make sure you wishlist it on Steam, as that is a huge help for indie developers. Let's look forward to March 10th when this game comes out. I know I will be watching reviews to see how it actually ended up before I buy it. Now, I'm not saying you gotta do that. If you're gonna back it right away, go for it and let me know how it goes. But for me, I'm gonna watch, I'm gonna listen, we're gonna see. I hope it does well, and then if it is, I'm gonna be all over it. Now, that's it for me. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and hit the like button. That does a lot for me and it means a lot, so do that. And if you're a fan of RPGs like this one, I have a video down in the description of a video I did of 10 RPGs coming out this year, so make sure you check that one out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.